You're about to hear 3 of the most chilling and widely reported ghost stories ever recorded. These are hauntings that have been studied and sensationalized, leaving witnesses terrified and experts scratching their heads. We're talking about disembodied voices caught on tape, physical attacks from an unseen force, and encounters so strange they defy all explanation. These aren't just campfire tales. They are accounts etched into history by the very people who lived them. So, turn down the lights. We'll start with a story that has been called America's greatest ghost story. Haunting so violent and intelligent, it held an entire family captive in their own home. Section 1. The Bell Witch. In 1817, on a sprawling farm in Adams, Tennessee, the quiet life of the Bell family was about to come to an end. It started strangely. The family patriarch, John Bell, was out in his cornfield when he spotted an animal he couldn't recognize, describing it as having the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. He shot at it, but the creature simply vanished. That night, the true horror began. The family was jolted from their sleep by a heavy pounding on the cabin walls. Night after night, the sounds got worse, escalating from knocking to the sound of dragging chains and heavy stones being dropped on the wooden floors. This unseen tormentor soon turned its cruelty directly on the family. Bedding was yanked from their beds while they slept. The youngest daughter, Betsy, was targeted with shocking physical violence. An invisible force would slap her, pinch her, and pull her hair, sometimes leaving red welts and handprints on her skin. But what makes the Bell Witch haunting so terrifying is that the entity started to speak. At first, it was just faint whispers, but it soon grew into a clear voice that could hold intelligent conversations, quote scripture, and even predict the future. The spirit, which called itself Kate, seemed to have a deep hatred for John Bell, tormenting him relentlessly and vowing to kill him. As the years passed, John's health mysteriously failed. He suffered from seizures and had trouble swallowing ailments, the witch proudly took credit for. The story became so notorious that people traveled from all over to witness the phenomenon. The legend even ropes in a future president, Andrew Jackson, who is said to have visited the farm only for his wagon to get stuck, unable to move until he acknowledged the witch's power. In December 1820, the entity's threats came true. John Bell was found unresponsive in his bed, with a small vial of a dark liquid found nearby. The Bell Witch's voice allegedly boasted that it had poisoned him. Within the lore of the haunted, John Bell's death is claimed to be one of the only instances in American history where a spirit was blamed for a person's death. After he died, the witch's activity slowed, and it promised to return in 7 years. The presence faded, but the chilling legend of the Bell Witch's spirit that was intelligent, violent, and a supposed murderer did. Section 2. The Enfield Poltergeist. Our next story takes us to a suburb of North London. In the late 1970s, in a modest house in Enfield, a single mother named Peggy Hodgson and her 4 children became the center of one of the most documented and debated poltergeist cases ever. It all kicked off on the night of August 30th, 1977. Peggy's daughters, 11-year-old Janet and 13-year-old Margaret, complained their beds were shaking. The next night, Peggy woke up to a shuffling noise and saw a heavy chest of drawers sliding across the floor by itself. She tried pushing it back, but an invisible force seemed to push against her. Terrified, she grabbed her kids and ran to a neighbor's house. Even the police were baffled, with one constable signing a statement that she saw a chair move on its own. That was just the beginning. For the next year and a half, the house was a whirlwind of paranormal activity. Lego bricks and marbles would fly through the air, sometimes feeling hot to the touch. Loud knocking came from inside the walls. Furniture was flipped over, and objects were thrown. Most of the activities seemed to focus on young Janet. She was reportedly thrown out of her bed, and a now-famous series of photographs even seems to show her levitating. Paranormal investigators Morris Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair arrived and documented over 2,000 strange incidents. The most chilling evidence they collected was a voice. A deep, guttural growl began to speak through Janet, claiming to be a man named Bill Wilkins, who said he'd died in the house. Later, it was discovered that a man named William Wilkins had indeed lived and died in the home from a hemorrhage. A chilling detail that added another layer to the mystery. The case became a media sensation, and with that came a lot of skepticism. Some believed it was all a hoax created by the children. Investigators did catch the girls faking things a couple of times, which Janet later admitted to, saying they did it to see if anyone would notice. However, she has always insisted that the majority of the events were terrifyingly real for the journalists, police officers, and investigators who saw it firsthand. The case remains a baffling puzzle. These cases really make you question what's possible. We have one more. A place so famous for its ghosts, it inspired one of the scariest horror stories of all time. If you find these stories as fascinating as we do, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you've had your own brush with the unexplained, share your story in the comments. We'd love to hear it. Section 3, the Stanley Hotel, for our final stop. We're checking into a grand hotel nestled in the Rocky Mountains of Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel opened in 1909 as a luxury getaway, but beneath its elegant surface is a history of paranormal activity so intense that it inspired Stephen King to write the show. In 1974, King and his wife were the hotel's only guests as it was about to close for the winter. They stayed in room 217. That night, King had a vivid nightmare about his young son being chased down the empty hotel corridors by a fire hose. He woke up with a start, and by the time he'd finished a cigarette, the basic plot for his novel was already forming in his mind. Room 217 has long been the site of strange reports, believed to be linked to a former head chambermaid, Elizabeth Wilson. In 1911, she was injured in a gas explosion in that room, and while she survived, some say her spirit never left. Guests have reported lights switching on and off, items being moved, and their luggage being unpacked for them. Unmarried couples have even said they felt a cold presence push between them in bed, a sign of Mrs. Wilson's old-fashioned morals. But the activity at the Stanley isn't just in one room. The whole place seems to be a magnet for paranormal energy. People often report hearing the ghostly laughter of children on the 4th floor, even when no kids are there. In another room, room 428, guests have woken up to see the figure of a cowboy standing over their bed. The hotel's founder, F.O. Stanley, and his wife Flora are also said to be permanent residents. Flora's phantom piano playing is sometimes heard in the ballroom, while F.O. is spotted in the bar or billiards room, keeping an eye on his hotel. Today, the Stanley Hotel embraces its haunted reputation with ghost tours for curious guests. Whether the stories are from lingering spirits or just the power of suggestion, fueled by a famous book, the sheer volume of first-hand accounts from both guests and staff makes the Stanley one of the most paranormally active places in America. From a vengeful spirit in rural Tennessee, to a chaotic force in a London suburb, to a grand hotel full of lingering souls, these cases are just a fraction of the thousands of paranormal encounters that have been reported. They're stories that have been investigated and debated for decades. And while skeptics hunt for logical answers, the witnesses are left with one unshakable feeling. They experience something that they simply cannot explain. Something that challenges the laws of science and pushes the limits of what we think is real. So, the next time you hear an unexplained noise in the middle of the night, you might just ask yourself, are you really alone?